Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome. The clock has struck 2 o'clock, and in the interests of time and in respecting all of your time and you coming together and giving up some of your weekend, we're going to kick right off with our opening. My name is Kathleen Doherty, and I am the Executive Director of MoCA. I want to thank you for joining us today for the 11th year, I can't quite believe it, the 11th year of this partnership. This wonderful partnership between MoCA Jacksonville and Art with a Heart in Healthcare. A huge and special thank you to Christy Ponder. I see you on one of the little tiles on my screen. Art with a Heart in Healthcare Board Chair Hilary Whitaker and Florida Blue for its continued support of what really is an extraordinary partnership and initiative. And I can't quite believe that we are here a year later for our second Zoom opening. Over a year ago, the very first of our exhibition openings to happen by Zoom was with Art with a Heart in Healthcare. And I think none of us dreamt that a year on, we would be meeting again in this manner. But we are here for the safety of everyone, for the care of everyone, and to make sure that we still celebrate and provide and nourish creativity within our communities. So thank you for bearing with us. One of the reasons that we at MoCA are so very, very honored to work with Art with a Heart in Healthcare is because we know just how closely its work aligns with the vision and mission of our own institution. At MoCA, we are dedicated to presenting and promoting the art, the artists, and the ideas of our time, all in service of our community. During what I think we will all agree has been an exceptionally challenging, I was going to say year, but I probably now need to say 18 months, opportunities for expression and for our community at large, and for emphasizing the cathartic, nourishing, healing potential of art, I think have never been more important and more to the fore. We know, perhaps more than ever before, that with varied offerings, we can meet the diverse needs of our community at a critical moment, and that we can help create a richer community together. MoCA does this through all sorts of different ways, be it our exhibitions program, be it our opportunities to access the museum free of charge, our STEAM and other educational opportunities for K through 12, right through to lifelong learners, our visual arts programming like festivals, music that ties back to our exhibitions, as well as direct access to local, national, and international artists, just like many of the artists I see joining us today. All the while, these folks, these initiatives, these programs help us to think about what is important to our community and our place and our moment in time. MoCA is only able to participate in this type of event and support this type of initiative and program because of the generosity of our donors, our supporters, and our sponsors, as well as our extraordinary community of members. I'd like to take this opportunity to invite you all to learn more about MoCA on our website, or indeed by connecting, reaching out. We love to have a chat at MoCA. Reach out to any one of our amazing team, many of whom are on the screen today. I cannot overemphasize how fabulous they are, and they will be only too delighted to tell you all about what's happening. Join our community, join the fun at MoCA, become part of initiatives just like this. Without further ado, it is genuinely my great pleasure and privilege to begin this event by handing over the virtual mic to Christy Ponder. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathleen. for your kind words and your ongoing support of Art with a Heart and Healthcare. Everyone at MOCA has been a dream to work with, and I look forward to the continued partnership for many years. This is such an exciting day. I cannot express how thrilled I am that we are together to celebrate our 11-year partnership with MOCA and to be able to see the faces of so many of our past and present patients. This is a day to celebrate these wonderful and brave friends and to hear their stories on how art and Art with a Heart and Healthcare helped them and their families during a challenging time. Art with a Heart and Healthcare is a nonprofit that provides group and bedside art sessions to children and adults in the hospital setting. We were founded 20 years ago by cousins Lori Gagagno and Lisa Landworth Ullman. Because of their foresight, we were able to grow their vision to be able to support multiple healthcare environments and serve thousands of patients. Our purpose is to be able to provide the gift of art to anyone who wants it. Arts in medicine is a growing field, and I'm thrilled we have such a talented group of artists and residents who have the passion for art, but more importantly, the passion to work with patients and to share their gifts and joy to everyone they work with. Also, I want to say a special thank you to our patient artists and their families that are here on the call, and to our generous donor sponsor, Florida Blue. None of this could happen without all of you. Finally, I want to say a couple of things about this year's show. As we are all experiencing every day, these are unique times, and we needed to respond with a unique approach to this year's show. We had to choose a medium that could be easily sanitized and be safe for our patients to use and express themselves in meaningful ways. The first step was taking a photograph of the patient wearing a mask. Then the artist in resident guided the patient through transforming the photos of themselves into skillful works of art. The patient artist thoroughly enjoyed digitizing their selfie and designing personalized face masks that are unique to their interests and personalities. They also appreciate the opportunity to express themselves in an innovative way by learning new techniques on Procreate, an art-making application. Their digital self-portraits were all inspired by style of pop artist Roy Lichtenstein, complete with bold colors, shadows, and dot patterns to enhance the healing and to enhance the visual stimulation works of art. This helped guide the creative process and unite the individual artwork together to form a cohesive exhibit. Behind the mask also encouraged patients to be introspective as they reflected on the question, "What are you thinking or saying behind your mask?" They communicated their answer to the artist in resident, who later translated them into comic book-like quote bubbles to accompany their portraits. Being able to express their inner thoughts and feelings in a tangible, artistic way proved to be a positive experience for the patient. Shayna from MOCA will share more details about Roy Lichtenstein and some of his artwork. Now I would like to introduce one of our board members, Carrie Carter. Carrie has been involved with Art with a Heart for many years, first as a parent of a former patient, and now as a board member. I'll let Carrie tell you her story.
My daughter Katie's diagnosis of stage 4 neuroblastoma was finalized September 2001. Katie was one of the first patients to be seen by the wonderful artist of Art with a Heart and Healthcare. The impact they had on her life and the lives of so many others is hard to comprehend. Throughout her 9-year battle with cancer, she was courageous and bright. Art was her outlet. It always had been. Through Art with a Heart and Healthcare, Katie was able to have a distraction from her physical pain and yet still be creative. During her illness, the organization that was so close to our family's heart went through hardships. At a point, it almost was not able to continue functioning. Katie's effort to fight for what she loved never lessened. Along the way, art to-go bags were created. This was Katie's big wish. that each child undergoing hospitalization would have access to new art supplies. She was relentless in her efforts to keep Art with a Heart and healthcare alive. This organization is near and dear to my heart because of the impact I saw it have on my daughter. No child should endure what she did, but I'm so grateful for how she fought for this organization so that other children's lives will continue to be touched. I will forever do anything to make sure that her legacy continues on so that other lives may be made brighter. This is why I became a board member and give this incredible group of people my sincere devotion. I would now like to introduce our board chair, Hillary Whitaker. Hillary was a founding board member 20 years ago. Graciously, she stepped into the role of board chair 2 years ago, and we are so much stronger as an organization because of her leadership. Thank you, Hillary.
Hillary, we can't hear your voice at the moment. If you maybe try to unmute or without the headphones, maybe.
Now. Okay. Hi. Thank you, Carrie, for that. It's been such an honor to be a part of Art with a Heart. I was initially on the board 20 years ago. I was just starting into my career and I had no idea what it meant to serve on a board at age 22, but I knew that my heart was drawn to their mission and pursuit to make a difference in the lives of so many children and families in our community. It's been amazing to see the growth of Art with a Heart over the years. It's now a name that so many people have come to know and love. We're so grateful to our Art with a Heart artists and volunteers who selflessly pour into the lives of those whom they encounter. I cannot wait to see the creations that each of you artists have contributed to the exhibit. Jillian, Ariana, Ava, Tristan, and many others. We're beyond thankful for the support we receive from our donors, and we could not be doing this without you. We would like to thank Florida Blue, the title sponsor for this year's patient exhibit, Behind the Mask. Darnell Smith is our market president for Florida Blue, and here's to Darnell.
With the continuing pandemic affecting our children's health and social well-being, patients and their families need Art with a Heart in healthcare more than ever to help them express and understand their feelings. Florida Blue is committed to supporting the program for those in need. We're proud to sponsor this year's exhibition, Behind the Mask. For more than a decade, MoCA Jacksonville and Art with a Heart in Healthcare have collaborated on special exhibitions of artworks by pediatric patients in Northeast Florida. This year, patients created self-portraits behind a unique mask, exploring new ways of communicating expression. Program facilitators, artists, and patients will guide us through the programs and services offered by the nonprofit and how they have all worked together to present the exhibit. Florida Blue is proud to support programs in the arts as offered by Art with a Heart in Healthcare, our local hospitals, and MoCA Jacksonville. Please join us as we visit the virtual art exhibit and enjoy many heartfelt stories from young patients and their families who have participated in the art program as they create art that enhances the healing process. The nonprofit's team of artists and volunteers have served tens of thousands of patients and their families in Northeast Florida at Wolfson Children's Hospital, Nemours Children's Specialty Clinic, St. Vincent's Mayo Clinic, and Baptist Medical Center. Founded in 2001, Art with a Heart in Healthcare is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to enhancing the healing process of sick children. 6 days a week, a talented team of staff artists, community volunteers, and interns from the University of North Florida and University of Florida develop sessions individualized to meet the needs of patients and families at bedside or in groups. Together, they create art that helps to promote a sense of well-being and healing. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for that. Hello, my name is Shayna Dickler, and I'm the curatorial assistant here at MoCA. I'm just going to quickly share my screen. And I wanted to speak a bit about the artist who inspired this exhibition, Roy Lichtenstein, who was one of the most influential and well-known pop artists of the 1960s. His iconic graphic imagery was often derived from comic books, magazines, and advertisements. Lichtenstein was fascinated by everyday events and objects, challenging the idea of what art was at the time, as many of the other pop artists, such as Andy Warhol and Richard Hamilton, have done as well. Pop art embraced the imagery of consumer products in television, film, and magazines, emphasizing the cliches found in the media, such as the damsel in distress. Lichtenstein famously utilized text and speech bubbles in his works and popularized the use of graphic techniques such as bin-day dots, which is the dot patterns commonly used in advertising and comics to achieve gradation of tone. Lichtenstein was heavily influenced by art history. He thought of his bin-day dot technique as a mechanical or industrial version of how Impressionist artists of the 19th century, such as Monet and Renoir, broke down colors into small brushstrokes. Like Lichtenstein, the patient artists in Art with the Heart's Behind the Mask used a source image to base their pieces on. In the case of our exhibition, they used photographs to trace from, while oftentimes Lichtenstein used advertisements as a base image in his case. In this case in particular, he used a cropping from a comic book called Run for Love from 1962, illustrated by Tony Abruzzo on the left, to paint one of his most famous paintings, Drowning Girl, shown on the right. Manipulating and tracing images was not as easy in the 1960s as it is nowadays. Instead of using a digital method like Photoshop or InDesign, like we do now, which easily allows us to copy or change images, Lichtenstein had to hand crop and trace only the areas he wanted to keep while adjusting it, and finally by placing it on a projector the way he wanted his composition to look, to enlarge the image and put it onto his canvas. Then he would use a handmade stencil to apply his bin-day dots to his paintings. In MoCA's collection, we have 4 prints by Roy Lichtenstein, including this incredibly fun, untitled origami hat that features his love of bin-day dots, and his sense of humor shows through by giving the paper boat hat a nautical theme complete with a steamboat and ocean waves. In Behind the Mask, keep an eye out for Lichtenstein's graphic techniques such as speech bubbles, dots, and bold graphic patterns. And with that, I'll turn it over to our Director of Education and Public Programs, Matthew Patterson, who will lead us through a virtual tour of the exhibition.
Great, thanks, Shayna. Thanks for that background on sort of the historical foundation for the work that we're going to look at. And I'm going to screen share our tour of the exhibition so everyone can actually get a look at the work here. I'm sorry we can't be at the museum together to see this exhibition, but thanks to Ryan Hickox of 360 View Virtual Tour, we can see the exhibition virtually. Can everybody see my screen as I'm panning around the exhibition? Yeah, great. All right, so we are going to start off and we're going to get a chance to chat with some of the exhibition artists. And the first one I want to speak to is Jillian. So Jillian, if you're on the call, and you can go ahead and unmute and say hello.
Hi. Hello, I'm Jillian.
Hey, Jillian, good to see you.
You too.
We're going to come over here to this wall and find your work. And I can go ahead and enlarge it there. And Jillian, do you want to just start off by telling us about what you made here, and then we can talk a little bit about your involvement in the program?
Yeah. So this is my picture that I made of me in the hospital. My mask is actually a picture of the blanket that I brought with me when I stayed at Wolfson for treatment, and a friend from school gave it to me. I'm actually a junior at UNC right now, and I had to take last semester off to stay at home and get treatment in the hospital, and that's kind of the reasoning for why I put that on my mask and my speech bubble of why did I end up here.
So how did you first get involved with Art with the Heart in healthcare?
I first got involved with Art with a Heart when I was diagnosed in 2015. And then I was able to reconnect with them again when I was in the hospital this year.
And how do you think your involvement in the program sort of affected your stay in the hospital?
I think it was very influential to my stay, especially this time during COVID. I wasn't allowed to have visitors. Back in 2015, my friends could come see me, and that always made the stay better. But it was nice to have other people like the Art with the Heart residents who could come in and hang out with me, and we could do art together.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It makes a big difference to the folks in the program that we've heard, this year, and we heard last year during our reception. And it's nice that you've been able to stay in touch and stay involved in the program and be a part of this exhibition. Since you've had so much experience with Art with a Heart, what's sort of your point of view on programs like this in hospitals?
I think that they're definitely important to have programs like this. I do think art is very healing, and it's a good distraction for people of all ages, but to just be able to be creative in a time when they're just surrounded by illness and things that would otherwise cause them a lot of anxiety.
That's great. So what's your family's reaction been to your work being in a museum?
They thought it was really cool. They're here right now, actually. But yeah, it is cool to have it. I was in the exhibit in 2016 also. So I got to actually go to MoCA and see my art in the museum, and that was really cool. Because it's like you wouldn't expect to have your art in a museum, I guess. But
it's a big deal. Yeah. That's great, Jillian. Well, I hope you get to stay involved with the program one way or another. It's great to have you on the call and to hear your point of view. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the group while we're here?
I don't think so, but thank you for having me.
Definitely. All right. So next I want to hear from Ariana. We're going to go over and find your work. Ariana, if you're on the call, go ahead and unmute and we'll get to talk about the work that you made. Let's see. Ariana, is she logged in? I can't see everybody that's in the room. Does anybody see her? No? Okay.
I don't see her.
Okay, I thought I might have seen her earlier, but she may have had to log off. That's okay. We can come back. Maybe she'll come back in a moment, and then we'll chat with Ariana. But how about we talk to Ava? Ava, are you logged in?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Ava, how are you?
Good.
Good to see you. We got your work over here. We're going to talk about what you made. Do you want to tell us about what you made here? And probably my first question is, I got to know what your speech bubble means to you.
To me, it means strength and to be strong and to be brave.
That's great. And so how did you first come to meet the artist with Art with a Heart in Healthcare?
I think it was a couple weeks after I started some of my chemo. Somebody who worked at Art with a Heart walked into the room and just asked me if I wanted to do art. So that was the first time I did art with somebody in the hospital, and it made me happy. So I had something to do instead of thinking about something bad stuff.
That's great. And you got to work with Miss Brooke, is that right?
Mhm.
So, Ava, what's your been the reaction from your friends and family seeing your artwork?
Surprised, and they were proud of me.
That's great. Yeah, it's a big deal, right? So you still making things at home?
I still do art at home.
What are you making now? What do you like to do?
I like to draw dogs and other stuff.
It's great. So, how do you think that this experience working with the program has either changed you or sort of changed your experience being in the hospital, Ava?
Art with a Heart has helped me anytime I'm actually in the hospital, that somebody's there to hang out with me. And I'm not just in the hospital with my mom and dad doing art by myself. I have somebody to help me with art so I can make something really cool, and they can help me through the time that I'm in the hospital.
Right. I'm glad to hear that it was important to you and that it was a good experience. Ava, do you want to tell us anything else about your work or about your time with Art with a Heart in Healthcare?
I don't think I have anything else.
That's okay. We're going to hang out for a bit. So if you think of something else, we can always chat more. Okay. Thanks, Ava. All right. Did Ariana manage to log in? Is she here? No? Okay, that's all right. Why don't we go and talk to Tristan? Tristan, are you here? Tristan, if you hear me, can you unmute? Maybe not. Okay, well, we'll go and take a look over at Tristan's work over here. Sorry, guys, I can't see who all's in the room and I can't see the chat right now. So if somebody's able to see Tristan, or just go ahead and unmute and let me know.
Yeah, I don't think he's here right now. When I haven't seen him logged on yet.
Okay, that's all right. Jill, did you work with Tristan?
I did, yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, maybe would you be willing to talk a little bit about, from your point of view, working as an artist with the program and your relationship with Tristan?
Sure, I can.
That'd be great. Okay, I've got Tristan's work here. So can you talk through a little bit about how you guys met and how you got started on this?
So I guess not going too into what he's had going on, but I met him in Day Stay, and for quite a few months there, I think from beginning of this year on, he's just been the greatest kid. Every Monday I look forward to going to Day Stay because I know he's there. But he's just a typical 15-year-old boy, you know, just wanting to play his video games, do his schoolwork so he can go back to all of his games and hanging out with his family and stuff. But he's an awesome kid. So.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he seems like a fun guy based on what he made here. How long have you been working with the program, Jill?
I believe in January will be 5 years.
Right on. Okay.
Yep.
And how is this sort of, I mean, from the artist point of view, how has this program affected you?
Oh, goodness. I feel like it kind of makes you think a lot about like what you have going on in your life, and that what do you think of what the kids that you work with, what they usually have to go through day in and day out, that what your problems are nothing, but at least you know you have something that you can do to at least make a small part of their day in the hospital better. And like Miss Ava, I know Miss Ava as well. And I definitely know at least bringing her paint or model magic is like one of the highlights of her day whenever she's in. So.
Yeah, it kind of puts it into perspective, but it's great to see these relationships come out of the program and see people stay connected and remain friends, you know, beyond their time with Art with a Heart. You know, that when some of the conversations we had last year, there was a lot of that kind of came up, which is great to hear. So how do you feel about programs like this in general in health settings? I mean, that's a little bit about how it's affected you, but I mean, what have you seen as far as, you know, how these can benefit patients?
Oh, I think for sure, for children, for adults in any healthcare setting, these type of programs should be everywhere. They really should. Like at Wolfson's, I know like at Baptist, we're in the process of branching out more from there into other departments, I guess. And we're all really excited to see how that affects, because that'll be more with adults. But yes, it definitely should. It really should be everywhere, even just some form of it, whether it's just giving whatever age the patient is just something to do, or even someone to just talk to. It's beneficial in like every aspect.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a very cool program to see and get to share in each year here at MoCA. Jill, you got anything else you'd like to share with the group right now, or about your work with Tristan?
At least for Tristan, it was really cool to see him do something other than he typically would like to do colored pencils and just drawing. But this is the first time where he really branched out from what he typically would like to do. So it was really fun for the week or so that we worked on this to see his process through it. But he did an excellent job. Like, I know what he looks like with and without a mask on, and that looks exactly like him. So he did a really good job.
That's great. Thanks, Jill.
Of course.
Matthew, do you mind if I can share about Ariana's piece a little bit, or just
That's
speak
great.
a little bit?
I was going to ask.
Brooke worked with Ariana on her piece, so she would definitely be the one to interject.
That would be great.
So
do that.
I worked with her. Dylan actually worked with Ava on her piece, and then I worked with Ariana on her piece.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here we've got Ariana's. You want to tell us about how you work together on this project?
Yes, I would love to. She is a really special patient to me. I've known her for 5 years now because, as you can see through her piece, she is a sickle cell warrior. So with that means pretty frequent hospitalizations over the years. And so I've really gotten to know her and her family, and she is so incredibly proud of this artwork. I actually just saw her a few days ago in the hospital, and she told me like she goes and looks at this picture on her phone on a daily basis because she's so proud of it, and it brings her joy just looking at it. And I was just so shocked. Like, I didn't know she was that proud. And she was like, as soon as I got the picture in the mail, I hung it up on my wall. But then I realized I had to take it off so that I could go show it to all my friends and family. And so she's really, really, really proud and excited to have her art in the show. And I wish she was here, but I'm glad her art is still here for everyone to see.
That's great. It sounds like you guys have a real friendship.
We do, yes.
Yeah. Did you just meet recently? Have you known Ariana for a while?
I met her when I first started with the program in 2016. So I've known her since she was 10 or 11, and she's turning 16 next month. So we've developed a relationship over time, and sometimes when she's in the hospital, she's in too much pain to do art, especially like towards the beginning of her stays, before her pain is managed. And so sometimes like I just go in there and talk to her, and we just hang out, or I'll just like make art with her, or like an art request for her, because sometimes she's like physically unable to do it. But the iPad art specifically was like a lot more feasible with her, since she like couldn't move like one of her arms while she was doing it. And so the iPad art, for that reason, is something that we want to continue incorporating into our program and have that accessible, because it is sometimes easier than like managing a paintbrush or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we're, experiencing the same thing with the museum, and certainly like right now with the format for this reception, we're finding new ways to deliver programming. So that's great that you're making these sort of discoveries and what works best for the patients that you're working with. And it's, it sounds like you've been with the program for a while. Can you talk about how, from your participation in Art with a Heart in Healthcare, what you've seen and how it's sort of, affected you, or the presence of programs like these in hospital settings, what that sort of meant from your point of view?
My answer would honestly mirror Jill's in a lot of ways. It certainly puts things into perspective, and I'm always in awe at the strength and resilience of patients like Ariana, and seeing the difference that not only art makes, but the relationships with artists and residents makes on their stay. Like, she comes to the hospital so much, and she knows that anytime she's there, she's going to see me, and she's going to see like a familiar face and someone who is offering a service that is completely non-medical related. So even though we're artists in the hospital, we have absolutely nothing to do with their medical treatment, which makes us unique from any other person in there. And it's just like a sense of normalcy, like we're just friends, and just something really comforting to look forward to. So I think that's like what makes art programs the most meaningful, is the relationships between artists and residents and patients.
Absolutely. Well, Brooke, is there anything else you want to add about your time with Ariana or this work in particular? I know you're going to stick on for the sort of general Q&A here.
Yep, that's good. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So I think this time we can open it up for sort of an overall Q&A and discussion. And if there's folks on the call who have questions for any of our Art with a Heart in Healthcare artists or patients, we're going to hear from Brooke McKinney and Matt Richards, and just sort of open it up for a informal discussion, and then I can pan around the gallery and pick up on any of the other work that we haven't looked at already and give everybody a look at that as well. So Matt, are you there as well? Matt Richards? Matt, if you're there, go ahead and unmute.
I can see Matt. He's trying to speak right now, but he's muted somehow. It might be the headphones. He's just working on it.
Okay, that's no problem. Well, I'll go ahead and I'll take us through the rest of the gallery and show some of the other works. And if there's questions or comments from the group, the folks that are on the call, you can go ahead and unmute, and we can just have a conversation back and forth about what we're seeing. If you have questions for the artists, you can let us know either by just unmuting and asking away, or you can put them in the chat if you're more comfortable that way. I might get one of my colleagues to help moderate the chat so as I can do two things at once here.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, hey Matt. How are you?
Sorry about that. I had to throw on my DJ headphones.
No, that's not a problem. So I'm just going to be kind of cruising through the gallery and picking out some different works. But yeah, do we have any questions from folks who are on the call, or things that they'd like to know more about the program or hear from the artists?
Hi, this is Kathleen. I just wanted, it's not less a question and more a statement. I just wanted to say that this program that comes around every year, each time I see it, I'm equally knocked down and equally mind blown, and think that this has to be the best exhibition yet. And then along comes another. And I can tell you, I work with artists every single day, and I work with people creating artwork every single day. And there is no exhibition that affects me each year as much as this wonderful exhibitions do. So I want to say to each of the artists, not only is your work amazing, the way you articulate your work, the way you talk about your work, and you talk about your life experiences, puts to shame or can inspire, depending how you wish to look at it, many adults, myself included. So bravo to each of you. You really are an inspiration, both your work and your voice.
Thank you. These projects are they're a lot of fun. It's a huge honor working with the kids, and they're definitely a big process. You know, it goes from working with the kids, the artist in residence there, the patients there, and then we try to, like, you know, get them close to museum ready. You know, so it's a big process and involves a lot of people that have huge hearts, but it's all inspired by, you know, the vision that these kids have, and it's always a real honor to help actualize that, you know.
I think this is one that lots of mums and dads can understand. I think that's a phrase we hear from our kids a lot. I can't wait to get home and start gaming.
I think that was part of the reason we had hoped the digital medium would have some traction with the kids, because, you know, modern technology has become such an important part of their lives, but also the artistic process. I'm sure, as you all know, a lot of commercial art and you know, fine art even is created now with digital platforms. So it was a lot of fun. There were some learning, educational moments for us all going through this process. But
I was going to ask about that, Matt. I mean, do most of the patients take to it pretty quickly? You know, was it sort of second nature to them? Because I, you know, was in a workshop yesterday, and like half the kids that were on like drawing on tablets, like it was second nature to them. I think probably the learning curve would be for me in this case.
you know, I personally was not able to work one-on-one with the patients doing it, but the artists that we have working with us are very talented and very knowledgeable, and they learn very quickly, and they're dedicated.
I can interject if you want me to.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So I've worked with a few of these projects here, and honestly, the first time I ever did digital art was my practice version of this painting, or for this picture. And actually, the artist that you have up right now, her image. So the first time I met this patient, I did not work with her specifically on this project, but the first time I met her, she was literally doing her own digital art on her iPad, and anything that she could do could totally blow away anything that I did out of the water. She herself, she's a fantastic artist. Like, I think it took her maybe like a day, not even, to finish doing this project. And it's actually kind of interesting because if you look at like her lines on her picture, so she's fully like cornered them out and made them come to a point the way that it's supposed to. And that was something like we didn't even tell her she had to do. She just did it. And
yeah, there were a couple of kids that already kind of knew more than some of us did about this stuff. Definitely. And this young lady was one of them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was kind of fun. Some of them either just had no idea about it and took to it like nothing, or they just pretty much already knew because of what I feel like most younger people do nowadays anyways. Everything is on the phone or an iPad or a computer of some type, and it's just much quicker for them to pick it up. So
Cool. Pan over here and take a look at some of the other works that we missed earlier. Yeah, somebody made a comment in the chat that there's a lot of sort of like sense of humor in these works as well, which is great. Great to see.
It's one of the most fun parts about working with kids in that environment. And sometimes one of the funniest things, you know, you go in there to lift their spirits and sometimes they lift yours.
There's just a couple other works that we didn't look at before. Come back up to this wall behind me. I think we recognize this one. This is on the invitation. Were there any artists on the call that worked with Ethan?
One who worked with Ethan. He is an awesome kid. At first, he wanted to do Spider-Man on his mask, but I was kind of like worried about copyright and everything like that. So we had to think of our own superhero and come up with for this piece. And then when me and Matt were thinking of ideas for the design for the background, I remember that he did want to do Spider-Man, and Matt came up with the great idea of putting spider webs in the background.
That's great. So I'll zoom in so we can see it, because I've looked at it a couple of times upstairs and just sort of, was like, oh, well, that's Spider-Man. But if we look at it really close, is that a bulldog on there?
Yeah. He wanted to put a bulldog as the emblem.
So what is the name of the superhero?
We actually did not get that far. I actually even forgot to ask him what he wanted to name the superhero. Yeah, I wish I would have asked.
That's all right.
That's the follow-up.
Exactly. Yeah, that'll be the sequel. That's great.
Well, his work talks about being the protecting, and so maybe it's he's the guardian, he's the protector. The bulldog is the protector.
That's what he was thinking about when we were designing the superhero.
Right. Protector pup. There we go.
I love that piece because, he's in the hospital getting treatment for, what he's going through, and he's still thinking about taking care of his family. That to me is a really beautiful message there.
Yeah, they're clearly a great bunch of kids. I mean, I think that, comes across really clearly in the work. I think you all are, like I said, very fortunate to get the chance to work with them and get to know them. This one stood out to me. Just the message, buy a cow, it'll be your best friend. That one made me laugh.
Yeah, that one had a lot of smiles. We struggled to figure out a good background for that one, but I think it worked out okay.
Let's see. All right, I think we're just about out of time. I'll go to a couple more works while we're here. I think we've had a chance to see everything in the exhibition. Are there any other thoughts or questions that have come up from our folks who are listening in? And if something always comes up afterwards, you can always get in touch with us here at the museum, like Kathleen said. I think we're going to start to wrap things up here, but we're going to hand things back over to Christy. Christy, if you're on the line, I think you're going to give us our closing remarks today.
I am, and I'm going to thank you all for joining us. I think every year it gets better and better, and these patients are amazing. Thank you all for sharing in our special day. I hope you enjoyed the show as much as I did. Please know if you want to see this tour, the show in person, to contact MoCA, and they will do a private tour for you. And thank you all for your time and your support. I look forward to another next year.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Thanks again, y'all.
That was incredible.
If you're interested in seeing this tour virtually, this is going to be available on our website as well. So all the things that we've looked at today, this link will get sent out to the participants here, and then it'll also be included on our website, so you can be able to see this and share this with anyone at any time.
So you can bring friends and family far afield from anywhere in the world, from the comfort of their own home, on a tour to see your fabulous artwork on exhibition at MoCA.
All right, y'all. Well, thanks for joining us today. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matthew.
Great job.